Understanding the emotional and psychological dynamics of women is the cornerstone to building strong and healthy relationships. Today, we will discuss 10 key challenges that women often face not to exploit, but to foster empathy, respect, and connection. We will also uncover women's secrets that most men rarely know. So, for those of you who want to have a more harmonious relationship with your partner, watch this video until the end. Number 1. Emotional sensitivity. Emotional sensitivity is a trait that many women are naturally attuned to. It's a characteristic that allows them to feel deeply, empathize with others, and form meaningful connections on a level that is often intuitive and heartfelt. This ability to connect emotionally with people is truly a gift. It creates space for compassion, understanding, and mutual support in their personal and professional relationships. However, this heightened emotional sensitivity also comes with its challenges. Women who are deeply in touch with their emotions may find themselves feeling overwhelmed in certain situations, especially those that are emotionally charged. For instance, hearing criticism, dealing with conflict, or navigating intense discussions can sometimes feel heavier for someone who is emotionally sensitive. They may carry these emotions longer, reflecting deeply on them, which can be both a strength and a vulnerability. This sensitivity is not a weakness, but rather a powerful strength that reflects emotional intelligence. It allows women to read between the lines, to sense what is unsaid, and to respond with care and consideration. Yet, in a world that often values toughness and resilience in the face of adversity, this beautiful strength can sometimes be misunderstood or even undervalued. That's why the way we communicate with emotionally sensitive individuals is so important. Gentle communication can make all the difference. Taking a moment to think about the words we use, the tone of our voice, and the way we approach conversations can help create a space where emotions are not only acknowledged, but also respected. Kindness, empathy, and patience can help emotionally sensitive individuals feel understood and supported. It's also essential for women with heightened emotional sensitivity to nurture themselves. Self-care, setting healthy boundaries, and taking time to recharge emotionally are vital practices. These habits can help balance their ability to connect with others while protecting their own emotional well-being. Let's not forget that sensitivity is a superpower. It's what makes relationships deeper, kindness more profound, and human connection possible. Embracing and celebrating this aspect of ourselves or others is a step toward creating a more empathetic and compassionate world. Number 2. The need for emotional validation. One of the most important aspects of emotional well-being, particularly for many women, is the need for emotional validation. This is not just about hearing someone say, "I understand," but about truly feeling seen, heard, and accepted. Emotional validation is a key part of building trust and fostering meaningful relationships. It provides a sense of security and reassurance that their feelings matter and that their experiences are valued. Why is emotional validation so significant? It stems from a deeply rooted human desire to connect. For many women, emotional validation is not merely about solving problems or fixing situations. It's about being present in the moment with them, acknowledging their emotions without judgment, and letting them know they are not alone. This kind of understanding nurtures emotional intimacy and strengthens the bond between individuals, whether in romantic relationships, friendships, or family dynamics. For example, imagine a scenario where a woman shares her feelings about a challenging day. In that moment, she isn't necessarily looking for solutions or advice. What she often needs is someone who listens attentively, affirms her emotions, and says something as simple as, "That sounds really tough. I can see why you feel that way." These small but meaningful responses can make a world of difference. However, when emotional validation is absent, it can lead to feelings of isolation or frustration. Without acknowledgement, emotions can feel dismissed or minimize, which may create distance in relationships. For women who highly value emotional connection, this lack of validation can sometimes feel like a rejection, even if it's unintended. On the flip side, providing emotional validation isn't a complex process. It's about listening with empathy, being present, and resisting the urge to dismiss or immediately offer solutions. Simple phrases like, "I hear you," "that makes sense," or "I'm here for you," can convey a sense of care and understanding. It's also worth noting that emotional validation is a two-way street. Women, just like men, can benefit from cultivating an environment where validation is mutual. Understanding the importance of this need and learning how to both seek and offer validation can create healthier, more balanced relationships. In the end, emotional validation is not just about meeting a need, it's about creating a deeper connection. It reminds us that at the heart of every relationship lies the fundamental human desire to be understood, respected, and valued. Number 3. Pressure to conform. Society has long placed immense pressure on women to conform to various expectations. And this pressure manifests in multiple aspects of life appearance, behavior, and even career choices. These expectations are often deeply ingrained and reinforced through cultural norms, media, and social interactions. While some may view these standards as guidelines for success or acceptance, for many women, they become a source of stress, self-doubt, and feelings of inadequacy. Let's start with appearance. From a young age, women are exposed to beauty standards that can feel impossible to achieve. Advertisements, social media, and entertainment often promote narrow ideals of beauty, leading many women to feel pressured to look a certain way. This might involve striving for a particular body type, wearing the right clothes, or even pursuing cosmetic changes to fit in. While there's nothing wrong with personal grooming or self-expression, the problem arises when these choices stem from societal pressure rather than personal desire. Behavior is another area where conformity is expected. Women are often encouraged to be nurturing, polite, and accommodating. While these qualities can be strengths, they can also lead to situations where women feel compelled to suppress their true selves or avoid expressing strong opinions for fear of being labeled as aggressive or difficult. This can hinder their ability to assert themselves, whether in personal relationships or professional settings. When it comes to career choices, the pressure to conform can be equally intense. Women may feel torn between pursuing their ambitions and adhering to traditional roles. Society often scrutinizes women's decisions about work-life balance with questions like, "How will you manage a family?" or "Why aren't you prioritizing your career?" These conflicting messages can create significant stress as women strive to meet expectations on all fronts while feeling like they're constantly falling short. The impact of this pressure is profound. It can lead to feelings of inadequacy, burnout, and even anxiety or depression. Women may feel as though no matter how hard they try, they're never enough, not thin enough, not agreeable enough, not ambitious enough. This constant comparison to unrealistic standards can erode self-esteem and make it difficult to embrace their authentic selves. So, what can be done to alleviate this pressure? It starts with awareness and challenging societal norms. Women should feel empowered to define their own standards of success, beauty, and behavior. It's essential to recognize that everyone's path is unique and that there's no right way to live life. Surrounding oneself with supportive individuals who celebrate authenticity can also help counteract societal pressure. On a broader scale, fostering inclusive and diverse representations in media and encouraging open dialogue about these issues can help create a more accepting environment. When women feel free to be themselves without fear of judgment, they can thrive, not just in their personal lives, but in every area of their existence. Ultimately, the pressure to conform doesn't have to define women's experiences. By recognizing these societal expectations and working to dismantle them, we can create a culture that values individuality over conformity. Number 4. Struggles with self-image. Self-image is an area where many women face significant struggles, often shaped by external influences such as media portrayals, societal expectations, and cultural norms. From a young age, women are exposed to a barrage of messages about how they should look, behave, and present themselves to the world. While some of these messages may seem harmless on the surface, they often create a deep and lasting impact on how women perceive themselves. One of the most prominent influences on self-image comes from media and advertising. Social media platforms, magazines, TV shows, and advertisements frequently showcase narrow and often unrealistic standards of beauty. These images are carefully curated, heavily edited, and rarely representative of the diversity of real women. Yet, they set a benchmark that many feel pressured to meet. For instance, flawless skin, a certain body type, or perfect hair are presented as ideals, making it easy to feel inadequate when comparing oneself to these often unattainable standards. Struggle with self-image isn't just about physical appearance. It also extends to perceptions of worth and capability. Women may feel they are constantly measured against others, whether in terms of career achievements, family roles, or social interactions. This pressure to have it all can exacerbate insecurities and lead to feelings of not being good enough, no matter how much they accomplish. The impact of these struggles is far-reaching. Women dealing with self-image issues may experience low self-esteem, which can affect their personal and professional relationships. It can also lead to mental health challenges such as anxiety, depression, or even eating disorders. The internal dialogue often becomes critical and unforgiving, making it difficult to embrace one's own unique qualities. So, how can women navigate and overcome these struggles? The journey begins with self-compassion and a conscious effort to challenge the narratives that undermine their self-worth. One of the most powerful steps is to recognize that media portrayals are not a reflection of reality. By curating a more positive and diverse media diet following influencers who promote body positivity, celebrating individuality, and rejecting toxic beauty standards, women can begin to reshape their perspectives. Another important step is to focus on self-care and self-acceptance. This means celebrating strengths, embracing imperfections, and understanding that beauty and worth come in countless forms. Surrounding oneself with supportive and uplifting individuals can also make a tremendous difference. Friends, family, and communities that value authenticity can help counterbalance the negativity of societal expectations. Additionally, conversations about self-image and societal pressures need to be normalized. By openly discussing these struggles, women can support each other and realize that they are not alone. Sharing experiences, challenges, and victories creates a sense of solidarity and empowerment. Ultimately, the journey to a healthier self-image is not about achieving perfection. It's about embracing one's true self. When women step away from the pressure to conform and celebrate their individuality, they unlock the confidence and strength that comes from within, and that, more than anything, is what makes them truly beautiful. Number 5. Fear of losing independence. For many women, independence is not just a value, it's a source of pride and identity. Whether it's financial independence, emotional resilience, or the freedom to make their own choices, the ability to live life on their own terms is deeply empowering. However, this strong sense of independence can sometimes lead to a fear of losing it, particularly in the context of relationships. This fear often stems from the delicate balance women feel they must maintain between nurturing their individuality and building meaningful connections. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, require a level of vulnerability and interdependence. While this can be a beautiful and enriching experience, it may also bring up anxieties about losing oneself in the process. Take, for instance, the fear of commitment. For some women, The idea of fully committing to a partner may feel like a potential threat to their autonomy. They may worry about sacrificing their personal goals, time, or even identity to meet the expectations of the relationship. This doesn't mean they don't value love or companionship. It simply highlights the tension between their desire for connection and their need for independence. Similarly, vulnerability can feel risky. Opening up emotionally and relying on someone else can create a fear of becoming overly dependent. Women who have worked hard to build their independence may hesitate to let someone into their lives deeply, fearing that it could diminish their sense of self or make them vulnerable to disappointment. The impact of these fears can vary. In some cases, they may lead to avoidance of deeper connections or a reluctance to fully invest in relationships. In other cases, they can result in internal conflict, where a woman feels torn between her love for someone and her desire to maintain her autonomy. Over time, these struggles may contribute to anxiety, self-doubt, or even misunderstandings within relationships. So, how can women address these fears? The first step is recognizing that independence and relationships are not mutually exclusive. It's entirely possible to be independent and still nurture deep, fulfilling connections. The key lies in setting boundaries and having open, honest communication. Women can express their needs and priorities to their partners, ensuring that both individuals feel respected and supported in their autonomy. Building trust is another important aspect. Trusting that a partner values and supports one's independence can ease anxieties about losing it. This trust comes from consistent actions, mutual respect, and shared understanding within the relationship. It's also crucial to reframe vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. Allowing someone to see one's authentic self doesn't mean giving up independence. It means creating space for genuine connection. Vulnerability can actually enhance relationships, fostering deeper understanding and intimacy without compromising individuality. Finally, self-reflection plays a vital role. Taking the time to understand one's fears, values, and desires can provide clarity and confidence when navigating relationships. Women who know themselves and what they stand for are better equipped to find partners who complement rather than compete with their independence. Number 6. Difficulty with boundaries. Setting and maintaining boundaries is an essential part of healthy relationships. But for many women, it can be a particularly difficult challenge, whether in romantic partnerships, friendships, or family dynamics. Women are often socialized to be nurturing, accommodating, and giving. While these qualities can be beautiful and necessary in certain contexts, they can also lead to challenges when it comes to asserting personal boundaries. Why is it so difficult for some women to set boundaries? A major reason lies in societal expectations and gender roles. From a young age, many women are taught to prioritize others' needs, sometimes at the expense of their own. This can create a sense of obligation to say yes to requests, even when it's at the cost of personal time, energy, or emotional well-being. Women may fear that setting boundaries will make them appear selfish or unkind, which leads them to avoid confrontation or difficult conversations. Additionally, there's often an emotional element at play. Many women feel a deep sense of responsibility for the people in their lives. Whether it's taking care of children, supporting a partner, or helping a friend, the desire to be there for others can make it hard to say no. This constant giving can leave little room for self-care or personal space, leading to feelings of being overwhelmed or taken for granted. The impact of not setting clear boundaries can be significant. Over time, women may begin to feel drained, resentful, or even lost. When boundaries are not respected or communicated clearly, it can lead to misunderstandings, emotional burnout, and a sense of imbalance in relationships. This lack of boundaries may also lead to a feeling of being tied down, unable to fully pursue personal goals or interests because they're constantly attending to the needs of others. So, how can women overcome the difficulty of setting boundaries? The first step is recognizing that boundaries are not only necessary, they are a form of self-respect. Setting healthy boundaries doesn't mean rejecting others or being unkind. Rather, it's about protecting one's emotional and physical well-being. Boundaries allow individuals to prioritize their needs without feeling guilty, and they create space for mutual respect and understanding in relationships. Another important step is learning to say no with confidence. This can be incredibly challenging, especially for those who fear disappointing others, but it's essential for maintaining balance. Saying no doesn't have to be harsh or dismissive. It can be done with kindness and empathy. For example, simply saying, "I'm sorry, I can't right now, but I'll be happy to help at another time," is a way of setting a boundary while still showing care and consideration. Communication is key. It's important for women to express their needs and expectations clearly, without apology. Whether it's in a family setting, with friends, or in the workplace, women can practice assertiveness, expressing their feelings and needs confidently without feeling guilty or defensive. This not only helps preserve personal energy, but also fosters respect from others. Self-care is also a crucial component. Setting boundaries requires self-awareness, taking time to listen to one's own needs, both emotional and physical. Women can practice self-care by making time for activities that recharge them, whether it's taking a walk, reading a book, or simply resting. Prioritizing these moments helps maintain balance and prevent burnout. Lastly, surrounding oneself with people who respect and understand boundaries is vital. Relationships should be built on mutual respect, where both parties recognize the importance of personal space and emotional well-being. When boundaries are respected, relationships can thrive, free from the resentment or exhaustion that often arises when they are ignored. Ultimately, setting boundaries is a form of empowerment. It allows women to honor their needs, preserve their energy, and cultivate healthier, more balanced relationships. By embracing boundaries, women can create a space where they can truly be themselves without the pressure to constantly meet others' expectations or sacrifice their own well-being. Number 7. Overthinking and anxiety. Overthinking is a common challenge for many women, often influenced by the way they've been socialized to be more reflective, thoughtful, and attentive to details. While these qualities can be valuable in many areas of life, they can also lead to patterns of overthinking, where a woman's mind becomes consumed by countless possibilities and outcomes. This tendency to analyze and reanalyze situations, conversations, or decisions can be exhausting and, over time, can contribute to feelings of anxiety and self-doubt. Why do women tend to overthink more than men? In many cases, one key reason lies in societal expectations. Women are often encouraged to be meticulous and considerate, paying close attention to how their actions or words might affect others. While these are admirable traits, they can sometimes lead to second-guessing and worrying about every little detail. Whether it's wondering how a conversation might have been perceived, contemplating a decision for hours, or rehashing an event in their minds, overthinking becomes a way of trying to control or understand every aspect of life. Overthinking can also stem from a fear of making the wrong choice. Women may feel the weight of responsibility, whether in personal relationships, career decisions, or everyday choices. The pressure to make the right decision, one that aligns with societal expectations or others' desires, can create a cycle of anxiety. This fear of failure or of disappointing others often leads to overanalyzing every option until it becomes overwhelming. The impact of overthinking can be far-reaching, especially in relationships. When a woman is constantly analyzing her partner's words or actions, it can create misunderstandings or unnecessary tension. She might wonder, "Did I say the wrong thing?" Or, "What does this silence mean?" This overanalysis can lead to self-doubt, insecurity, and even conflict in the relationship. Similarly, in the workplace, overthinking can impact decision-making, making it harder to act confidently or take risks. So, How can women address overthinking and the anxiety that often accompanies it? The first step is recognizing when overthinking is happening. Becoming aware of the tendency to overanalyze is essential for breaking the cycle. Once a woman acknowledges that her mind is spiraling into excessive thought, she can consciously redirect her focus. One powerful strategy is mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness helps women stay grounded in the present moment, rather than getting lost in hypothetical scenarios or worries about the future. Techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or simply taking a step back to observe thoughts without judgment can help reduce anxiety and prevent overthinking from taking over. Another helpful approach is reframing thoughts. When a woman finds herself overthinking a situation, she can try to challenge her thoughts by asking questions like, is this worry based on facts? Or am I imagining things? Or, what's the worst that could happen, and how likely is it to occur? This helps break the cycle of rumination by putting things into perspective and focusing on what is within her control. Setting boundaries with oneself is also important. For example, if a woman finds herself constantly replaying a conversation or situation in her mind, she can set a time limit for how long she will think about it. After that time, she can make a conscious effort to move on and focus on other things. Seeking support from others is another key strategy. Talking things through with a trusted friend, partner, or therapist can help provide clarity and reduce anxiety. Sometimes, simply sharing one's thoughts aloud can bring a sense of relief and perspective. Lastly, it's important to practice self-compassion. Women often tend to be their own harshest critics, but learning to treat oneself with kindness can help ease the burden of overthinking. Instead of criticizing oneself for overanalyzing, it's helpful to acknowledge that it's okay to have moments of doubt and that perfection is not required. Ultimately, overthinking and anxiety don't have to control a woman's life. By implementing strategies to manage excessive rumination, women can make more confident decisions, reduce stress, and foster healthier relationships. Embracing the practice of mindfulness, self-compassion, and thoughtful reflection without getting lost in overanalysis can create a space for inner peace and clarity. Number 8. Navigating societal judgment. One of the most challenging aspects of being a woman in today's society is the constant pressure to navigate societal judgment. From the choices they make regarding careers, relationships, or personal life, women often find themselves scrutinized by external expectations and opinions. While every individual faces judgment to some extent, the judgments faced by women are often more intense, personal, and intrusive. The societal pressure to conform is deeply ingrained, with specific standards and roles often placed on women, based on what is acceptable or expected. Whether it's a decision to pursue a particular career, delay or avoid marriage, or even the way a woman chooses to dress, these choices are often subjected to intense scrutiny by others. Society seems to have a strong opinion about what women should do, how they should act, and what their priorities should be. For example, when a woman chooses to focus on her career rather than starting a family at a traditional age, she may face judgment for being too ambitious or selfish. On the other hand, if she chooses to prioritize family over career, she might be criticized for not being driven enough or not having enough ambition. Similarly, women who choose not to marry or have children at all are sometimes made to feel like their decisions are unnatural or incomplete. This type of societal judgment can lead to feelings of inadequacy, as if no matter what choice a woman makes, it will never be the right one in the eyes of others. Moreover, there's often judgment related to women's appearance. In many cultures, women are expected to meet specific beauty standards, be it body shape, skin tone, or the way they dress. Those who don't meet these ideals might face harsh criticism, which can lead to self-doubt and a distorted sense of self-worth. The emotional toll of constantly facing societal judgment is significant. Women may internalize these judgments, leading to self-criticism, anxiety, and stress. The fear of being judged can cause them to second-guess their choices or even refrain from pursuing their true desires. It can also create a sense of isolation, as women feel they have to navigate their lives in a way that aligns with what others deem acceptable, even at the expense of their own happiness. So, how can women navigate societal judgment without allowing it to define them? The first step is developing a strong sense of self-awareness and self-acceptance. When women are secure in their own values, goals, and identity, external judgments lose much of their power. It's about realizing that no one knows their path better than they do, and that everyone's journey is unique. Another key factor is learning to tune out the noise. Not every opinion needs to be considered, especially if it doesn't align with one's personal values. While constructive feedback from trusted sources can be valuable, judgment from people who don't truly understand a woman's life or intentions can be dismissed. Women can also create a support system of friends, family, and mentors who uplift them and encourage them to stay true to themselves. Additionally, it's important for women to remember that judgment is often a reflection of others' insecurities or outdated societal norms, not a reflection of their own worth. The judgments that people pass are shaped by their own experiences, biases, and expectations, and not everyone will understand or appreciate every decision. Empowerment comes from embracing individuality and choosing to live authentically. When women make decisions based on their own needs and desires, not based on external pressure or judgment, they step into their power. It's essential to prioritize what feels right for them, rather than what society dictates. Finally, speaking out and advocating for others who are also facing societal judgment can help create a more supportive and accepting environment for women. By challenging the status quo, promoting diversity, and embracing different paths, women can begin to shift the narrative and create a world where everyone is free to make their own choices without fear of judgment. Navigating societal judgment is not easy, but it is possible. By staying true to themselves, surrounding themselves with supportive communities, and challenging harmful societal norms, women can create lives that are fulfilling, authentic, and free from the constraints of judgment. Number 9. Balancing multiple roles. One of the most common challenges many women face today is the constant balancing act of managing multiple roles. Whether it's being a partner, caregiver, professional, or community member, women often find themselves wearing many hats simultaneously. While these roles are important and fulfilling in their own right, juggling them all can be overwhelming, leading to stress, burnout, and the feeling that there is never enough time or energy to do everything well. From an early age, many women are socialized to take on a variety of responsibilities. In the home, they are often expected to care for family members, manage household duties, and maintain relationships. Outside of the home, women may also feel the pressure to succeed in their careers, stay active in social or community groups, and meet societal expectations. While these responsibilities can provide a sense of purpose, they also create an immense amount of pressure. For many women, the struggle comes from the expectation that they must excel in all these roles simultaneously. In relationships, they may feel the need to be attentive and supportive partners, always available to meet their partner's needs. In their roles as caregivers, they may prioritize the well-being of others, often at the expense of their own physical or emotional health. In the workplace, they may feel the weight of proving themselves as capable professionals, while also balancing the demands of home life. This constant juggling can be exhausting, as women often try to meet the needs and expectations of those around them without leaving enough time or space for themselves. Over time, the pressure can lead to feelings of inadequacy, guilt, and frustration. They might feel like they are failing in one area, despite their best efforts, or that they are sacrificing their own well-being for the sake of others. The emotional and physical toll of balancing multiple roles can also manifest as stress and anxiety. Women may find themselves stretched thin, unable to meet all the demands placed on them. This can lead to burnout, where they feel completely drained, both physically and emotionally, and struggle to keep up with their responsibilities. So, how can women find a healthier balance when juggling so many roles? The first step is recognizing that it's okay to not be perfect in every area of life. Women don't need to fulfill every expectation or meet every standard. The key is to prioritize self-care and set realistic expectations. It's important to understand that taking care of one's own needs, whether through rest, relaxation, or personal hobbies, is just as important as caring for others. Time management and organization are also crucial in balancing multiple roles. While it may not always be easy, scheduling and setting boundaries can help women manage their time more effectively. This could mean setting aside specific time for work, family, and self-care, and being clear about what can be done and what may need to be postponed. Saying no to additional commitments is an important part of maintaining balance and reducing the feeling of being overwhelmed. Support systems are vital. Women shouldn't have to carry the weight of multiple roles alone. It's important to communicate with partners, family members, and colleagues to share responsibilities. By asking for help and delegating tasks, women can ease the burden and create a more collaborative environment where everyone's needs are respected. Additionally, women can practice mindfulness and stress management techniques to cope with the demands of their various roles. This can include deep breathing exercises, meditation, or simply taking breaks throughout the day to reset. Practicing mindfulness helps women stay grounded, reduce anxiety, and approach their responsibilities with a clearer, calmer mindset. Finally, it's essential for women to acknowledge that balancing multiple roles is not a static process. Life, circumstances, work demands, and personal priorities can change, and flexibility is key. Women can give themselves permission to adjust their schedules and expectations as needed. It's okay to shift gears and adapt when necessary. Being flexible is part of maintaining balance in an ever-changing world. Balancing multiple roles is undoubtedly challenging, but with the right mindset, tools, and support, women can navigate these demands more effectively. By prioritizing self-care, setting boundaries, asking for help, and staying flexible, women can create a healthier, more sustainable approach to managing their various roles. Ultimately, when women are able to balance their responsibilities without losing sight of their own needs, they are able to thrive in all areas of their lives. Number 10. Fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is a deeply rooted vulnerability for many women. It's a fear that can stem from a variety of sources: past experiences, societal pressures, or the expectations placed upon them in relationships, career, or social situations. This fear can manifest in many ways, affecting a woman's confidence, her interactions with others, and even the choices she makes in her personal and professional life. At the core of the fear of rejection is the fear of not being good enough. Many women, consciously or unconsciously, internalize the idea that they must meet certain standards in order to be accepted or loved. This could relate to appearance, career success, personality, or how they behave in relationships. Society often sends the message that women must be perfect in order to be worthy of love, respect, or recognition. As a result, any hint of rejection can feel like a personal failure or a reflection of inadequacy. The fear of rejection is not just a theoretical concern. It can be deeply emotional and real. For example, in romantic relationships, women might fear that their partner will no longer love them or that they'll be abandoned. In friendships, there's the anxiety that they might be excluded or judged. In the workplace, it could manifest as fear of not being promoted, passed over for opportunities, or not being valued for their contributions. The pressure to avoid rejection can lead to self-doubt, anxiety, and sometimes even avoidance of situations where rejection might occur. But how does this fear play out in real life? It can manifest as hesitation to take risks or put oneself out there. Women might hold back from expressing their true feelings, sharing their ideas, or pursuing opportunities because they are afraid of being rejected or criticized. In relationships, this might look like avoiding vulnerability or not fully committing to someone out of fear that they won't reciprocate. In professional settings, women may downplay their talents or avoid asking for what they deserve, all because of the possibility of rejection. The consequences of this fear are significant. Constantly worrying about rejection can prevent women from forming deep, authentic connections with others. It can create a barrier to intimacy, making it difficult to build trust in relationships. In work or social settings, this fear can keep women from seizing opportunities or speaking up for themselves. Ultimately, the fear of rejection can lead to isolation, self-limiting beliefs, and missed opportunities. So, how can women overcome the fear of rejection? The first step is recognizing that rejection is not a reflection of their worth. Everyone faces rejection at some point in life. It's a normal part of the human experience. Rejection doesn't define who they are. It's simply a part of the journey toward growth and self-discovery. Reframing rejection as a learning experience rather than a personal attack can help shift the perspective. Another key approach is practicing self-compassion. Women who fear rejection often hold themselves to very high standards, thinking they must be perfect to be loved or accepted. By treating themselves with kindness and understanding, they can begin to release the pressure they place on themselves. Self-compassion means accepting their imperfections and acknowledging that everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Building resilience is another important strategy. Instead of avoiding situations where rejection might occur, women can begin to expose themselves to these experiences in small ways. Whether it's speaking up in a meeting, making new connections, or sharing vulnerable feelings, practicing these behaviors can help build confidence and reduce the anxiety around rejection. Over time, the fear of rejection becomes less overwhelming, as women realize that they can handle it and move forward regardless of the outcome. Support from trusted individuals is also crucial in overcoming this fear. Having a solid support system can help women feel validated and safe, knowing that they are not alone in their struggles. Talking openly about fears of rejection with a trusted friend, partner, or therapist can offer perspective and reassurance. Encouragement from others helps reinforce the idea that rejection is not the end of the world, but just another step toward personal growth. Lastly, it's essential to remind oneself that not everyone is going to appreciate or accept them, and that's okay. People's reactions and opinions are shaped by their own experiences and biases, and their rejection doesn't diminish a woman's value. By embracing the idea that rejection is part of life's ebb and flow, women can learn to navigate it with grace, knowing that it doesn't define them. Ultimately, overcoming the fear of rejection is about reclaiming one's power and not letting the fear of what others think control their choices. By reframing rejection, practicing self-compassion, building resilience, and seeking support, women can begin to embrace opportunities without the paralyzing fear of rejection. In doing so, they open themselves up to more fulfilling relationships, professional growth, and a deeper sense of self-worth. Hey there, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed our video on the fascinating topic of female weakness. It's always a pleasure to share my knowledge and passion with you all. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. Your support means the world to us. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to help you gain that power. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing. Until next time, stay curious and stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.